Hello and welcome everyone. We yet continue with the topic of cell physiology, which is a Form 1 topic. Last time in our last lesson we looked at osmosis, not osmosis but diffusion. Today we look into active transport. Then the last bit of the topic of cell physiology will be osmosis. So to start off with our topic of today, which is active transport, we look at definition of active transport and how the process or physiological process works. So what is active transport? Active transport is a process in which energy is used to make molecules or particles of a substance to move from the region of low concentration to the region of high concentration against the concentration gradient. I will repeat the definition. Active transport is a process in which energy is used to make particles or molecules of a substance to move from the region of low concentration to the region of high concentration against concentration gradient. What that means is the process of active transport is dependent on energy. Energy that is used in active transport is from the process of respiration. That means active transport is dependent on respiration as the main source of energy. In the absence of respiration, it means active transport cannot take place. So by definition, if I write a process in which energy is used So that's the full definition of active transport. If I may use a diagram to show or represent movement of particles as per active transport, then this is how the diagram would look like. So particles moving from region of low concentration to region of high concentration. So in active transport, if particles or molecules are to move from the region of low concentration to the region of high concentration, then it means it's like climbing up a hill. And when one climbs up a hill, it means the individual will use some amount of energy because the person is moving against the concentration gradient. As in the case of active transport, particles normally move from region of high concentration to low. That simply means no energy is required. But for active transport to move up the hill, which means moving against the concentration gradient, energy is needed. And that energy, as you mentioned, is from respiration. Then, active transport in this case will take place across a cell membrane. That means in living organisms, plants and animals, that is where active transport takes place. Active transport as a process cannot take place within non-living organisms because the process is dependent on energy. And dead or non-living organisms cannot produce energy because they don't have active mitochondria. Fine, then what are the factors that affect the rate of active transport? That is, what are the conditions that will make active transport to be fast? So I want to look at conditions that will either make active transport to be fast or slow. One of them is availability of oxygen. If oxygen is available, then it means it's active. It's aerobic respiration that will take place. So in the presence of oxygen, aerobic respiration takes place. When aerobic respiration takes place, a lot of energy is produced, and that energy produced will be used in active transport, and that will make the rate of active transport to be fast. In the absence of oxygen, small amount of energy will be produced through the process of anaerobic respiration. As we know, anaerobic respiration leads to production of small amount of energy. Then it means the rate of active transport will be slow due to small amount of energy produced from anaerobic respiration. The other factor, number 2, will be temperature. When temperature is to the optimum level, the rate of active transport will be fast, because at optimum temperature, which range is about 35 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, enzymes are capable of catalyzing reactions to the maximum or optimum level. That means the process of aerobic respiration is controlled by enzymes which are found inside the mitochondria. So when temperature is at its optimum level, 35 to 40 degrees Celsius, the rate of active transport will be fast because a lot of energy is produced at a faster rate from aerobic respiration. When temperature is low, that's below 10 degrees Celsius, the rate of active transport will be slow because enzymes will be catalyzing reactions below their optimum temperature. If they catalyze reactions below their optimum temperature, then it means only a small amount of energy will be produced. If small amount of energy is produced, the rate of active transport will be slow. But if the temperature is too low, then active transport will not take place because enzymes will be inactive. If the temperature is too high, above the optimum, that is 60 degrees Celsius and above, the enzymes will be denatured. When enzymes are denatured, active transport will not take place because no energy will be produced from respiration. Another factor that will affect the rate of active transport is glucose or substrate concentration. A substrate is a substance that is normally broken down in the process of respiration to produce energy. Some of the respiratory substrates are glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids. So, in the presence of a lot of glucose or in the presence of high substrate concentration, the rate of active transport is fast. The reason why the rate of active transport will be fast is at high glucose concentration, a lot of energy will be produced because when glucose is broken down, a lot of energy is produced. But when glucose concentration is low, then the rate of active transport will be slow because the amount of energy that will be produced will be small because of small amount of respiratory substrate. So at high concentration of respiratory substrate, a lot of energy is produced, the rate of active transport is fast. At low substrate concentration, the rate of active transport is low because of small amount of energy that will be produced. The other factor is pH. Since active transport is under the control of enzymes because of production of energy through the process of respiration, then change in pH will affect enzyme activity. So when pH is too low, the rate of active transport will be slow, because at low pH, most of the enzymes will not be able to break down respiratory substrates to produce energy. When pH is too high, the rate of active transport will also be slow, because at high pH, most of the enzymes will not be able to catalyze reactions, which in this case is respiration, and therefore small amount of energy is produced. That means for active transport to operate at its optimum level, then it means pH must be at around, around 6 up to a maximum of 8. Fine. Now that we've looked at factors affecting the rate of active transport, let's look at significance of active transport. That is, how is the process of active transport? How is it important to bodies of living organisms like plants and animals? 1. In plants, the process of active transport is used in absorption of mineral ions from the soil. So 1, used by plants in absorption. That is, plants will use energy from the process of respiration within the root hair cells. Then root hair cells will use energy from respiration in the process of active transport to absorb mineral ions like sodium ions, potassium ions, nitrate ions, phosphate ions from the soil into the root hair cell of the plant. Second significance, used in absorption of digested food in ileum. Ileum is the lower part of the small intestine. Within ileum there are villi and microvilli. It is within villi and microvilli where end products of digestion, amino acids, glucose, and fatty acids are usually absorbed from the lamen of the ileum. They enter into the villi and microvilli and finally enter into the blood, from where the end products of digestion are transported to various parts of the body, where those end products are used in various functions or roles. So active transport is used in absorption of digested food in ileum. Third one, elimination of waste products. E.g., urea. Urea is an example of a waste product that is normally produced from the body after the process of metabolism. Once urea has been produced, urea will then be transported to excretory organ like the kidney or the skin, from where it will be eliminated. In the process of elimination and transportation of urea, energy is used in the process, and it will move from its region where it's produced in low quantities and to the excretory organ where its concentration is high, and that process therefore is dependent on active transport. fourth significance selective reabsorption of useful substances from glomerular filtrate back into blood, e.g. all glucose, all amino acids, and some mineral ions. Within the kidneys, there is a process known as ultrafiltration, in which blood filters out of glomerulus and enter into Bowman's capsule. From Bowman's capsule of the kidney, the liquid that filters out, which is known as glomerular filtrate, will move down proximal convoluted tubule, pass through the loop of Henle, then move through to proximal convoluted tubule. As glomerular filtrate passes through the nephron, or the parts of the nephrons that we mentioned, there are some useful substances that filter out of glomerulus and enter into Bowman's capsule, like glucose, some small size amino acids, some mineral ions like potassium, sodium, chloride, phosphate, nitrate ions. So once ultrafiltration has taken place, there are some useful substances like glucose, amino acids, and mineral ions that must be taken back into blood. These substances are selectively reabsorbed back into blood through the process of active transport. And with that active transport helps to bring back useful substances back into blood, like glucose, which is used in respiration, amino acids, repair of damaged body cells or tissues, mineral ions, which are used in nervous communication. The other function or significance of active transport is reabsorption of materials from tissue fluid. That is, tissue fluid is also formed through ultrafiltration, which takes place within the capillaries. Once ultrafiltration has taken place within capillaries, tissue fluid is formed. Tissue fluid contains mineral ions, glucose, and small-sized amino acids. These substances will be reabsorbed from the tissue fluid back into the body cells. When they enter into the body cells, they are used in various roles. For example, glucose will be used in the process of respiration to produce energy. Mineral ions will be used in nervous communication, which takes place across the cell membrane. Then it means selective reabsorption of substances from tissue fluid will take place against the concentration gradient, and that will involve active transport. So with that, we come to the end of that subtopic of active transport. We've talked about definition, factors affecting it, and significance. That's marked the end of that second subtopic of cell physiology. Thank you.